What's going on, guys? Let's take a look at a few things today. So, I'm going to clean up some stuff here. Tesla. So, Tesla, yesterday we were talking about potentially this thing coming up and being up in the 200 range. Obviously, that did not happen. Tesla was actually very boring, and it kind of sucked to be in that trade all damn day because I was, and then I finally closed it out. Probably around like 2 o'clock, I closed it out. But what I'm still looking at here for Tesla is this. There's a channel, a very clear channel today. Okay. Whether or not this downtrending resistance here that I have drawn in means anything, I don't know yet, right? Because it does look like this potential resistance from this previous high here. Then we dropped down to the lows. We kind of made a lower low here, which did turn into a W pattern. And then potentially, if that is a W pattern, we're just below the neckline of that W pattern, which is right around that 197.30, which is also the high from here. That's where we double topped on yesterday. And then the low was roughly around that 195 to 194.80. We had a low of 194.80 earlier in the morning, right? 74 to 80. So we'll call it 90s. If you look at the moving averages on the 5-minute, it's not going to matter right now because it's above. So we'll disregard that. It could be putting in potentially a bear flag or a bearish pattern here. It's hard to say right now what Tesla's trying to do. But what we do know as of right now is that 97.30 is monstrous. I had talked about it in the video that I was looking for a close above the 95 and holding, but I knew that 197 was a key area from a previous short area that I had taken, but I'm not 100% sure. I wasn't 100% sure if it was going to be that freaking big, right? Because it did end up becoming that big anyway. This was the channel I was playing. So I was buying 199 calls down in this range here, right about here, right? I bought it on this candle, and yes, it was a little bit risky and challenging, but previously we came down, we couldn't close the body below, then we rolled, and I was watching, we couldn't close the body below. This one came below, bought back up, closed right there, then we opened. So I bought the call, and we ripped up here, and then we got rejected at the 96.30 again. So I was like, damn, this is a key area. Came back down. I was like, maybe if we come back down here, if we break it, I'll have to close. We made a higher low. Then we pushed. We broke this level. So I added another call right here when we broke through. We ripped all the way to 97. We got a huge rejection. We came down. I started getting down on this call. We're closing below this level. So I'm like, shit. This might be a bad trade. We ripped back up. I'm like, all right, maybe we're going to back test it. We ripped below. We weren't closing below this little consolidation here quite. So it ripped back up again, and then we broke through a third time. So I'm like, shit, if we break this 96, because that seems to be a clear level, then I got to get out. As soon as we broke it, came back, we rejected off of it right here. I closed the call that I opened here, kept the one that I opened on the low. Then we came back down. And then we started coming down again. We broke this low of 95.70, and then we came back down, and we didn't quite reach this. So I stayed in it. Then we came back up here again. So I'm like, this time we're going to break it, but we didn't. So normally I'm shorting these, right? But the reason for me for not getting into shorts was that we had this channel between 96.33 and 94.70 or whatever, or 80. And I was like, that was a range all morning. Why are we not flipping it to support? And it just didn't really come in as anything too good. And I ended up closing it. Once we broke here, we came back up. We tried to reclaim it a fourth time, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting out. And I closed my call, and I pretty much made $40 up here from the low to there. Not very good. So we had PCE numbers come in today, and they were like 0.1% better than expected or whatever. So inflation potentially going a little bit lower. But this area is still going to be a huge area. What I want to see today, potentially, if I decide to trade this, is you can either trade the support, if we can find support on top of this 96.30. That's something I'm kind of watching today. But if we can't, or whatever happens, I'm going to be watching this $97 area here. It's actually roughly 97.13, I think. Yeah, if you look here, we had a candle body that couldn't close above there, 97.10 to 97.13, and then same over here, same deal. So that's really the biggest trade. If we can find support above that, then we might be proving that we can break out. If not, that might be a great short area. It hasn't been able to break out of it. It still didn't break out even with the decent PCE news. So there is something going on with that level that we might want to take advantage of. So I'm going to be watching that level today. I'm not sure if I'm going to be going long or short. I'm going to let the market tell me what it wants to do. If this thing's just sitting here all day or all morning till like 10 a.m. and it just can't get above, I'm putting a short in. And I'm expecting it to potentially come back down to this low. And if it comes back down to this low and eventually it closes below this low with candle bodies using it as resistance, we're probably looking for a lower drop. If it does find support above there, then obviously we can be looking for some higher levels. This is a big channel right now. Is it a big bull flag? It could be. If you look on a 4-hour chart and you look at some EMAs, it doesn't look that bad. We had this 21 EMA crossing the 50. That's not as good of a look because you have two of the daily 4-hour candles in the same spot. Where did I see something pretty good? The daily, not too bad. We had the 50 EMA cross the 100. We had the 21 EMA coming down. We had this first initial high. So the question is, are we putting in a lower high here that's going to potentially come back down? And then we have to decide here, is this going to come back down and make a double bottom that brings us up to these levels? Maybe, right? This would be all the way down or higher low. Come back down, maybe on the 85 and build something here that ends up turning into a rounding action, something like that. That's possible. But for right now, I am still looking at this as a potential of a little small bull flag or some kind of consolidation. But right now, the buyers do not want to step in above the 97. They're just sitting there and they keep defending that level. The sellers keep defending this level. 96.33 is a pretty good level. You can see what happened here even on an hourly chart. Body closed above, next one open below. So if you want to look at it from an hourly perspective and you can't do the 1 minute charting like I do, wait for the hourly candle to close above, potentially to confirm it. That should give us a decent entry still, right? Maybe it looks like that. I don't know how it's going to look. If it looks like this, that might look pretty good. You might know that, hey, maybe we can control this level now on the next hourly candle. Maybe we reject and we go back down and we hold support on the 96.33, and that's the new support. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I'm looking between a couple different levels. The 96.33 might mean nothing, but that's just what I'm seeing on the hourly. So the key area of support, really that 95.30 and the 94.80-ish area. We have to see how it's going to play out. We have the 21 EMA on the 30-minute right there at the 94.80 as well. So we have a lot of things going on here, but this can also just turn into a big double top. So that's something I'm watching. BABA, this was one that we made an awesome call on. It ended up rip-roaring, rallying way the fuck up here. We were talking about going long above 84, then 85.30, and then looking for this box range that I was putting a lot of shorts in at these areas. Then I put a call in, then we spiked up. I sold it at $97. We ripped all the way up here. I still made $700 on that. Now we're sitting in a little bit of a channel here from, well, I guess you can call it 102, but let's look on what did I have drawn out here. 102 area is going to be huge. We're down almost there now. This was an area roughly to 101.95 to 102.23, somewhere in there. If we end up closing below the 102.23 today, using it as resistance, we may come back down and test this 100. And then on the upside here, if we can close candle bodies and hold support somewhere above this 104 area, this could be a pretty solid area as well. I think that on the 1 minute, the better area is 101.95. Yeah, 101.95. if we can close below 101.95 and use it as resistance, that could be a good shorting opportunity. Right now we're down at 102.40, so look for that 102 to 101.95 as potential support. That could rally us back up. And for shorts, we could look for shorts up in the 105 area. If we find support above 105, then we can look to potentially look for longs. But for now, this could actually give us a pretty good range. If it does end up chopping in between this $5 range, that's a good area to put a put in. That's a good area to put a call in until either one of them breaks. That's how I would play it. Options are great. You don't always have to buy expecting to go up here to 108 and test it. You can just buy the call on the range, buy the short on the top. And that's what you keep on doing until one of them breaks. And eventually, if you bought it up here on a put and it decides to break the low, then, well, boom, you're in a fucking massive short. If you buy a call here, expecting it to break the top, and it breaks the top, now you're in a fucking awesome call, and you're going to make shit tons of money. Until then, you buy, you sell, you buy, so on and so forth. That's what I'm looking at for today for Baba. I don't know which way it's going to go. I am looking for around $100 down to 99.70. That's not a bad spot either, but the $100 area, psychologically good level. And then NVDA, let's look at NVDA. I took a call on NVDA that I held overnight, and I sold it about $250 profit. I did end up selling it here. This 273.74 was a key area of yesterday. We chopped around, broke up. Then we tried to hold it as support, but obviously we're not doing very well pre-market. Down here at the low, this was the low of the day, really, where we couldn't close candle bodies below 170.150. That's an area of potential support. So it looks like we're in a potential trading range right now from about, well, we put in a higher low here so far, so that's not as good. But 71.50 is a good one. If we lose that, I'm looking for us to potentially come down and retest the 170.50 to 169.50, somewhere in this range. Breaking the 270. Breaking the 270 would not be a very good look, but I do like the thought of it coming down and retesting the 270.53. I don't know if it'll give it to us, but it could look like a very nice double top right here if this thing doesn't want to get bullish or not. But for now, 271.50 is a pretty critical area, I think, in my opinion. So that could end up just setting up for a big range here. And then you have to look for potential shorts up in the 274.86 if it makes it there, and obviously if it breaks the top, that's what we're doing. But look at this potential double top brewing here on the 15 minutes. So we're going to have to watch this, but if this comes down, it could also just put in a W pattern that fakes all the bears out. But for now, we did put in a higher low, so we do want to watch this upper area of about 274.50 to 274.50 to about this high of yesterday's close here at the end of the day. So we're really like 274.23 or so. That's probably the key area off of the 15-minute chart. And then on the low end, we're looking at this low down here, 272.20, which we're below it right now. So with that being said, off a 15-minute chart, that's showing potentially that we're on a breakdown right now. But I do like just watching the 1 minute here. And look at the 271.81 as a key area, because usually if you can reject off that on the 1 minute, that's showing the lowest price there, and that could give you a short entry. But then how low do we go? I don't know. Maybe 270.50, maybe 269.55, maybe 268.82. I don't know how low it'll go if it does even do any of this. I'm not super bearish on it, but I am looking at the M pattern right now brewing. And then SPY, this was something that we were talking about the other day on my channel, and I was talking about this 403.41. Wait, no. I was talking about this. I wasn't talking about that. I put that in later. I was talking about this 404.30. This was an area we wicked to. We couldn't close above. Holding it as resistance, we couldn't close any candles above 404.15 to 404.30. Obviously, pre-market, we are above that. The next key level resistance for me, maybe I'm wrong. I don't have the exact levels marked in between this range. I have a big range here. For me, it goes to about 407. That's where we hit the key resistance. That could be a shorting opportunity here. If we can't close any candle bodies roughly above this 407, we had a double top area before. We've wicked all the way to 407.44. but we never closed candle bodies above that before. And it's same thing over here. We rejected it, couldn't close candle bodies above. This could be a great area to potentially put it into flip back to resistance. And if we can flip it to support, then we could get back in this trading range here. But it's tough to say exactly how this is going to play out here, because in a sense, I have this resistance line from these three tops, and potentially right now we broke above it somewhere either down here in the 400s, or we came down and back tested it. I don't know. So I will be looking for the potential of us breaking that 407. And if we can confirm it as support, then we can go higher, like to 413, 414. But that'll be a key resistance, and we still need to hold this 404.30 as support again. If we fail 404.30, we have 403.80 off of 15-minute candle bodies. And then we had a lot of resistance at the 404 level in general. So between 403.80 and 404.11, that'll be a pretty good area to look for a potential back test as support. If we break 403.80, flip it to resistance, then potentially this could just be a big fake out, and then we come back down and test some of these lows where we didn't close below before. And it was roughly, you could go off these low wicks, 401.75 or so. If we close below that, we might be heading back down to this 400 area to 430. So that's SPY. So that's my idea for today. Potentially pushing it up to 407s and looking for it to flip to support, maybe, but I don't think it'll go that crazy. That's where we're at right now. I'm not going to get into any more, but I hope you guys have a good day. Apple, I guess we can do that one real quick. Apple has a trading range from, looks like we can't close candle bodies above the 162.41, and we can't seem to close any candle bodies below 161.40. So if we lose 161.40, then we lose this range. But for now, we have a range from 161.40 to 162.40. That's pretty much where we're at. If we break above that, we're looking for 163.64. And if we break below the 161.36, I'm looking for 160.50 to 160.73 with a low of 159.42. Those are just some key areas that I have. Just from this little range, we could go lower here. It could come the 59s. You could come down to like 59.60 to 59.40, somewhere in there. This was a wick high here, the 160.73, double top wick high, somewhere between the 43 and the 73. And then here we tried to hold it as support. The 61.40, we couldn't close a candle body above before. That's kind of where we're retesting and holding as support, which is why it looks bullish. So maybe we have just a range here until we get bullish and we push through. That's very possible that we flip in here for a little while. Great thing for options. Short it here, buy calls here, or so on and so forth. It's a very small range, but you can still make a lot of money if you can figure that range out. It doesn't always have to be that it breaks down from the range. You can just play it between the range till it breaks either direction. That's my ideas for today. Hope you guys have a good day. Good luck with your trading.